Welcome back everyone. In this video, I will discuss about ProviderScope and ProviderContainer and will discuss how Riverpod works internally. Now, in the last video, we learned that Riverpod holds your data outside the widget tree, so any widget can access it. But that raises an obvious question: where exactly is that data stored? That is what this video answers. I will explain this with an analogy, and the analogy will be with a bank with lockers. Imagine a bank building. Inside that bank, there is a vault room full of individual lockers. Each locker holds one thing: some cash, some documents, some valuables. Now let's map that to Riverpod. The vault room full of lockers is ProviderContainer. The bank building itself is ProviderScope. Each individual locker is one provider. The locker number is the provider variable name. You walking up to a locker is ref.watch or ref.read. The vault room, that is the ProviderContainer, is where all the actual data lives. The bank building, that is ProviderScope, is just the Flutter widget wrapper that makes the vault accessible to your widget tree. When you add ProviderScope at the root of your app, you are saying, build the bank building right here at the top of everything. So every widget inside can walk up to any locker and get what they need. Now let's discuss about ProviderContainer. ProviderContainer is a pure Dart class. It has nothing to do with Flutter. No widgets, no build context, no widget tree. It is the object that stores the current state of every provider, runs the provider's functions when it is first accessed, catches the result so it does not run again unless needed, notifies listeners when a provider state changes, disposes providers when they are no longer needed. You almost never create a ProviderContainer directly in a Flutter app. ProviderScope creates it for you automatically. But understanding that it exists and that it is separate from Flutter is important, because number one, in test, you create ProviderContainer directly without any Flutter widget at all. Number two, in Dart CLI apps, you use ProviderContainer directly. And the third one, it explains why provider work outside the widget tree, because the container has nothing to do with the widgets. Now, these statements you will not write, like final container equals to ProviderContainer, then final value equals to container.read, then some provider, and after that container.dispose. Now, you would not write this in your app, but this is what happens under the hood. So here it is creating, here we are reading, and here it is disposed. Now let's discuss about ProviderScope, that is the Flutter wrapper. ProviderScope is a Flutter widget. Its only job is to create the ProviderContainer internally, makes the container accessible to every widget below it in the tree. That's it. It is essentially a bridge between the Riverpod world, that is the ProviderContainer, and the Flutter world, that is the widget tree. Now, in the last video, if you remember, we have written like this: void main run app, const ProviderObserver and child my app. Now this line ProviderScope, this actually creates the ProviderContainer internally, and here every widget inside can now access the provider. When any widget inside my app asks for the provider, Flutter walks up the widget tree, finds the nearest ProviderScope, reaches into its ProviderContainer and returns the value from the right locker. Now, why only one provider scope at the root? Because you want one single vault for your entire app. If you put multiple provider scope widgets in a different parts of your tree, each one creates its own separate provider container. That means separate isolated vaults. A provider read in one scope has no connection to the same provider read in a different scope. They are completely independent instances. For most apps, that's not what you want. You want one auth state, one task list, one DIO instance shared across the whole app. So, one provider scope at the root. There are advanced cases where nested provider scope is intentional. For example, scoping a provider to only one feature. I will discuss more about this as I will proceed in the series. But as a rule, one provider scope at the root. Next, we have why are providers declared globally? If you remember, in the very first video, we have declared a provider like this. Now, this is declared outside any class at the top of the file. The variable declaration is just a description, not the actual state. Think of it like a blueprint for a locker. The blueprint itself has no data in it. The actual locker with actual data only exists inside a provider container. That's why here I have written, this is a blueprint, a description of what the provider is. No state lives here, no computation runs here. When a widget reads task provider, Riverpod looks into the provider container for the locker matching this blueprint. If it does not exist yet, it creates it right then. This is called lazy initialization. But if it already exists, it returns the cached value. So the global variable is just the key to the locker. The locker itself with all its state lives inside provider container. This means declaring a provider globally is safe. There is no state in the declaration. The actual state is scoped to provider container, which means in test, each test gets its own fresh container with fresh state. Two different tests reading the same provider variable get completely independent state. Okay. Now let me discuss about uncontrolled provider scope. Provider scope always creates its own provider container. But what if you already have a container and wants to use it? For example, in testing infrastructure or when integrating Riverpod into an existing app. That's what uncontrolled provider scope is for. You create the container yourself and pass it in. For example, here I have created final container is provider container. This means we are creating our own provider container. And after that, we are using uncontrolled provider scope. And to that, we are passing the container which we have created. Now, you control the container directly. Remember to dispose it when the app closes. You will rarely use this in a normal Flutter app, but it is important in two situations. Number one is Flutter integration test. When you want to hold a reference to the container to read provider during a test. And number two, during app startup logic, where you need to initialize some providers before run app is called. For everything else, use the regular provider scope. Now, the next topic which I will discuss is ProviderObserver. Provider scope accepts an observer's list. An observer watches every provider in your entire app and fires callbacks at key moments, like when a provider is created, when its state changes, when it throws an error, when it is disposed. This is something you should set up from the day one. In production, you write it to Crashlytics or Sentry but in development you write it to debug print. Here is a sample code for the provider observer. As you can see that there is a base class which I have created named as AppProviderObserver, which is extending the provider observer, which is provided by Flutter Riverpod package. And here I have overridden the method did add provider, and here I have used debug print. What it is doing, it is printing the provider name and it is printing the type of the provider. Similarly, I have overridden did update provider. Again, it is printing the provider name and the type. Then we have did dispose provider, again printing the name and the type, and then provider did fail, again the provider name and the runtime. This is a simple debug observer. I will discuss more about this debug observer in my upcoming series. And if you see that the provider scope, it takes observers and it takes a list of observers which we can pass. Now every provider in your app is logged automatically. You will see in your debug console exactly when the providers are created, updated and disposed, which is incredibly useful while learning and while debugging. Now if I go to VS Code, then you can see that in the pubspec.yaml I have taken the latest dependency of Flutter Riverpod, and here in the main.dart I have written the same code, that is the AppProviderObserver, which is extending the provider observer. Then overrided the required methods, and then in the main method we have ProviderScope, which is taking observers and it is taking a list. There I have passed the AppProviderObserver which I have created, and that's it. Now it is not a good practice to keep this observer here, but how to structure your project, that I will discuss as I will proceed in the series. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching.